No. No. Yeah. When I come, you're probably gonna be sleeping. I actually am. The clock is running. We're back. It's CouchPotatoGM.com is the website. Couch Potato General Manager is the YouTube channel. You know it because you were on it. We are here to talk about Duval. How many D's, how many U's, how many V's, how many A's, how many L's? I don't know.
A lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Here to talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They finally got their quarterback. I'm proud of them. I want to give somebody in the front office, maybe a couple of people, some handshakes, because this team, I feel like, is back on the rise. They're back on the uptick. But we're here to talk draft recap. 2019 NFL draft recap for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And man, oh man. These boys got a steal, bro. How did he make it to him? I can't even believe it, man.
Yeah, a couple of teams passed on. We're talking about Josh Allen, edge rusher from Kentucky.
Outside linebacker, edge rusher, just.
Yeah, talks in the camp right now in Jacksonville is that he's playing predominantly defensive end. In my notes of Josh Allen, I liked him as a 3-4 outside linebacker, standing up because his versatility is eye-opening, how he drops back in coverage. Backpedals, just his anticipation. He's just really good at pass coverage. But being drafted by Jacksonville, they play a lot of even man fronts. He's going to be asked to put his hand in the ground and rush the passer. I think he takes away some of his superpowers that way. Yeah. But he did get 17.5 sacks last season at Kentucky, so he could get to the quarterback also.
He went back to school. He took it to heart, man. And would you say 17.5 sacks?
Yeah.
He was out there setting the edge. He was my number one player coming out. I loved everything about the guy going into the film. I didn't know anything. I was just like, man, let me just check him out. I remember the number 41 kept, showing up. Let me check this guy out, man. I was blown away, man. I mean, versatility, like Haley said, was the number one thing that I noticed. Like I said earlier, he can set the edge. I mean, him playing in space, whether it be man, whether it be zone, whether it be, tight end in front of him, whether it be a slot receiver, running back. I mean, he put his hand on you and run down the field, which, I mean, high motor guy. I mean, he's everything you want in an edge player, outside linebacker, 3-4, 4-3. I mean, like you said, they're gonna take a little bit of superpowers away, but I got a feeling they're gonna do a little bit more with him in terms of his versatility, because you gotta have him in space. You have to have him in space because he's excellent in space.
You hoping?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping. We don't just put him in a box and leave him in the box.
You're hoping outside of his own blitz, this man is going to be hand on the ground, setting edge, rushing the quarterback. From what we've gathered in terms of coaches talking about, what kind of role he's going to play, because he does have that hybrid versatility to his game. First of all, the way they look at it is 17.5 sacks. Why would we want that in coverage? That's the way they're looking at it. And you can certainly make an argument for that. The name of the game is getting after the passer. But I tend to agree with both of you. It does, you use a perfect analogy in terms of you're taking a very unique chip that you didn't necessarily anticipate to be there in the first place and putting him in a box. So we'll see, it could be some coach speak, but I'm led to believe that they plan on putting him in. Obviously, you got Ndakwe opposite him. I imagine they move Calais Campbell inside and running it from that perspective.
They traded Dante Fowler last season to the Rams, so this guy kind of fits that Dante Fowler mold.
Let's have that conversation. Obviously, from a production standpoint, Allen gets the edge, but in terms of the prospect coming out, who do you feel was a better 4-3 end? Was it Fowler or was it Allen?
It was Fowler.
4-3
end on the edge. Dante Fowler, man. Josh Allen to me was, like I say, he would have been better at a 3-4 outside linebacker, standing up, dropping in coverage, showing his versatility. Dante Fowler had that dog in him, man. He could get after the quarterback. He was a strong, physical guy. The thing about Josh Allen, to me, his weaknesses are pass rusher moves. He doesn't have that inside pass rusher move. And I know he got better, he got stronger against the run, but I still think it might be an issue at the next level, him holding up against the run.
Don't at times we get a little too concerned about scheme fit? Like, this clearly was a best player available situation. Again, he's proven that he can get to the quarterback at one of the, the conferences that generally has some of the best competition. Yeah. So at some point you just kind of have to say, you know what, Drew, you mentioned it, you run that ticket up, give Roger Goodell sweet chin music, you know what I'm saying, and put the card in, get a Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, it was an excellent pick.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess what we're questioning is how they're going to use Josh Allen at the next level.
Are you gonna let him use all his tools, or
Right.
are you gonna just he's just a shank. He can't cut anything else. He's this. He can't be this. He can't be this. He's just this. You know what I mean? So and that's what you don't want. That's what you don't want. But again, we'll see. They may surprise us. All right, in round 2, the 35th pick overall. These boys got another steal, man. They got another first-round pick in my estimation. I know this particular player, he fell because of the knees apparently, or was it knees or was it knee? I don't know. Anyways, he fell to the second round. Jawaan Taylor out of Florida, offensive tackle. You talk about a guy who's a mauler, who's a downhill player, who's a guy who likes to mix it up, a guy he came in like at 400 pounds at one point, and the man got a six-pack now. It's incredible, and it transformed his body. But this is a guy who matches kind of what they want to do there: run the football, hard nose, punch you in the mouth. Offense in terms of the run game, and pass blocking. He's not that bad. I mean, the only issue I got with him going with the pass blocking is if he gets too far back in his set, he looks like a fish out of water in my opinion. But outside of that, man, what's got a steal, man?
Yeah, he definitely was a steal for the Jaguars. We actually had him in our mock draft going to the first round to Jacksonville because we didn't have Josh Allen on the board going that late. So the Jaguars pretty much got 2 top 15 players in my estimation in our CPGM top 50 board. So excellent value with Allen, excellent value with Taylor. Taylor played right tackle at Florida, nasty in the run game, can move efficiently, has athleticism. And like you said, Jacksonville Jaguars, they want to play defense, run the football. The issues I saw with Taylor was in his pass protection, he's more of a clapper. Sometimes he can do this instead of doing this.
Penalties.
Penalties, holding. So he just had to clean up his hand technique at the next level. And he's a plug-and-play starter all day.
He played a little left tackle too, so he's played both sides.
We had some questions about Cam Robinson coming out too. Yeah. We had some questions about, is he technically refined enough to really hold up as a tackle, maybe kick him inside the guard. And when healthy, he's been better than advertised. So the thought process here is hopefully, particularly with Taylor's upside, that now that offensive line truly becomes a strength of this team. You know what I mean? You have questions in terms of what's going on in the perimeter. Obviously, like the fact that you have, a legitimate quarterback now in Nick Foles, and you like what you have in your backfield with 4, but the offensive line is really the linchpin to everything that goes on that side of the football. So they could really have one of the better offensive lines in the league, assuming Taylor, really tightens up some of those issues in terms of his pass protection.
Yeah, you're speaking about the offensive line. Jacksonville, 2 seasons ago, they were the number 1 rushing team. Last season, they fell off because of the injuries, man. They had a lot of injuries across the offensive line. Cam Robinson, the big free agent, Norwell. Once guys get healthy, to add with a Jawaan Taylor on top of that, they can get back to being number 1 running football team.
That's right. You have Robinson, Norwell, Linder, Can, and then you plug in Jawaan Taylor. So, like I said, that could be a really formidable group.
In the 3rd round, the 69th pick overall is selected out of San Jose State, Josh Oliver, tight end. When you look at the offense in terms of the Jacksonville Jaguars, you look at the quarterback. They've had receivers in the room, just haven't had, the quarterback to get them the football. We're not 100% sure what we got in terms of all the receivers and what they can bring to the table. But we're going to find that out this season. But then the missing piece, the one missing piece was the tight end. And they tried ASJ, got hurt, for whatever reason didn't work out. And now you throw in a Josh Oliver, who, in my estimation, is an athlete playing tight end. Am I wrong here?
He's a wide receiver masquerading in the tight end's body. He's a pass catcher. He was the number 1 weapon on that team of San Jose State. He was doubled and triple teamed. He still got it done. But as like you said, as a blocker, he's very inconsistent. He's not going to overpower anyone. He's another receiver for Nick Foles. We've seen what he did with Zach Ertz in Philadelphia the last couple of seasons. So another pass-catching weapon for the Jaguars.
All right, man. With their 2nd, 3rd round pick, 98th pick overall, they selected they got Quincy Williams.
Little brother of Quinnen Williams.
Yeah, from Murray State, linebacker. And now it makes a little bit more sense. Maybe they knew something. Telvin Smith not showing up for off-season workouts. Maybe, and then we find out what? He's I'm not going to call him retired. I'm not going to say retired. I'm going to say he just taking a season off for whatever reason, injury or just need to get his mind, whatever it is. I know Jaguars fans wasn't happy about it, but this guy, is in the mold of a Telvin Smith. Doesn't have quite the speed, quite the tenacity. Well, does he have he might have a little bit more tenacity.
Yeah, he got tenacity. He's a banger. He screams off the edge, and when he hits players, you hear it all the way in the nosebleeds, man, because he bangs. So, very, very physical player. He has good bursts, short area bursts, but the long speed, he doesn't have the Telvin Smith speed. But, I seen him drop back in coverage, very aware, very instinctive in the pass game. Got his hands on a couple footballs. Could have took it a distance, but yet again, he doesn't have that Telvin Smith speed.
I think this is a solid pick. I mean, obviously in light of Telvin Smith deciding to take a year of football off, that significantly created a hole. If I'm not mistaken, they bring in Jake Ryan as well to compete with, a 2-down linebacker based on his skill set. Cover 3 defense. There's not a whole lot of complexity to it. It's about obviously doing your job and doing it at a high level. While he doesn't necessarily have the blazing speed that Telvin Smith had, he's a good enough athlete to be able to get sideline to sideline. You're still comfortable with him playing in that 3-down role, and as you mentioned, Headley, he's competent in coverage. Again, you're going to lose something because of Telvin Smith's leadership and his experience, but I think they got a quality player here in the 3rd round.
The 5th round, the 140th pick, the Jaguars selected running back Ryquell Armstead out of Temple. Watching the tape, you know what he remind me of? He remind me of a lesser version of James Conner coming out of college, in terms of looking for the contact, in terms of straight line running, in terms of
not letting it really develop.
No, not letting it. I'm gonna run my offensive lineman over. Yeah. I'm gonna run the defensive lineman over, and then I'm gonna go find a linebacker, and then I'm gonna find a corner and a safety. Like I'm looking for contact, and I think that kind of runner, I really think that's something you can fix, and you can fix with the quicks, because offensive lineman gonna let you know, bro. You're not gonna run up into me when the play hasn't developed. I'm gonna need you to relax, chill, because you got the ability. I just need you to just relax.
It only takes once.
Yeah, once. Yeah. When you talk about Leonard Fournette and the injuries and can he stay healthy, this, that, and the other, you need a back that's similar to him in terms of giving you some punishment. So
physicality.
You give that physicality. So this is that guy.
Yeah, man, he's a very explosive player. I think he has one of the best spin moves in college football last season. And like you said, he just got to work on his patience a little bit, and he'd be an effective runner in the Leonard Fournette mode because he's very physical as well.
Pick makes perfect sense. You lose T.J. Yeldon, you bring in a Benny Cunningham out for Blue. Not sure, exactly how that'll shake out. I imagine this team carrying 4 running backs, so Armstead definitely has a chance to make this team.
Round 6, the 178th pick overall, the Jaguars selected a quarterback, man. Quarterback out of Washington State, Gardner Minshew. Let me know if I said it wrong. Hit me with the phonetics in the comments.
Minshew. You said it wrong.
I said it wrong?
Yeah.
It's Minshew. Minshew. I'm missing the N.
Yeah.
My bad. I'm disrespecting him. Gardner Minshew. Got it. The longer the play went on, the worser it got. Worser. We'll go with it. It's okay. Webster is in there. I promise you.
You think so?
Yeah, probably.
This might be the Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. College education. He's a system quarterback. He's got to know where he's going with the football pre-snap. It wasn't pretty.
What I can say about Minshew, I can give you some positives. He has a keen ability to step up or slide in the pocket, waiting for receivers to get open. Sometimes he makes some wild throws down the sideline. I'm like, how did he get the ball in there? But he's definitely better in between the numbers than outside the numbers. In between the numbers, he dinks and dunks you, he picks you apart. But outside the numbers, with his arm strength, sometimes he gets in trouble there.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not a fan of Mike Leach quarterbacks. Mike Leach obviously grabs a lot of headlines for his candor. People find that entertaining.
Who was the last successful Mike Leach quarterback?
It's a great question. It's a great question. I think this, to your point, when you use the term system quarterback, it can be construed as derogatory, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't.
Hey, Nick Foles, their quarterback now, is a system quarterback.
Exactly. So I don't want to necessarily cast that on him, but I'll put it this way: that particular system, we've seen precious few quarterbacks actually have success. Minshew does not project with that type of upside to begin with. Had opportunity to see him live at the Senior Bowl. He really face planted. Of course, it's a very small sample size, but I see this as maybe a 1 or 2 year deal before they kind of go through that whole draft and developmental quarterback type of deal.
In the 7th round, with the 235th pick overall, their last pick of the draft, they selected Dontavius Russell, defensive tackle out of Auburn. This man had over 150 tackles defensive tackle position. What does that say?
Active. Made plays.
He was very productive at Auburn and experienced. He played in a lot of football games. Has raw power. I think he can be a nice rotational piece for the Jaguars. His biggest weakness is pad level. Getting up too high. He just gotta get that bandwidth on him, and he'll be fine, man.
Obviously, they drafted Taylor Bryan last year. Malik Jackson goes to Philadelphia in free agency. You gotta replenish that depth. When the Jags were really humming on defense, obviously you had that talent at the second and third levels, but you had really high-end talent among the first string defensive line, and then you have waves behind it. You know what I mean? And that's what you want. You want to have fresh bodies up front, have a good rotation, and he figures to be a part of that rotation moving forward.
A couple of UDFAs, they brought in some secondary pieces. They brought in Savion Smith from Alabama. This guy's a long, bump and run corner, perfect fit for their cover 3. Moment of truth, he could go up and get the football, so he fits the Jaguars scheme. And Zedrick Woods, this guy blew up the combine, ran a 4.2 40, went back to look at the tape, and to me, he doesn't play up to that 4.2 40. I don't really like him in run defense also, but in pass coverage, he's pretty decent. He probably could slide in as a nickel corner because he gets a good bump on the receivers. Mm-hmm. But against the run, I still think he needs to work on that.
Let us know how you feel about draft recap. Let us know, what's your take on Talvin Smith? Is Quincy Williams, is he the replacement? How do you feel about Josh Allen as the pick? You feel you got 2 first rounders in Taylor and Allen? Let us know how you feel about your draft, man. It's confident out there still knocking it out of the park.
In the building.